Today, we're digging into a figure whose reputation definitely precedes him, but whose actual ideas often stay hidden in this, deliberate fog. Heraclitus of Ephesus.
He's a perfect subject for this.
Absolutely. He is complex, he's contradictory, but he's also immensely influential. He's often just called the Dark One.
And that reputation for being obscure is, well, it's historically well-earned, but so is his fame. Heraclitus was a pillar of the Ionian school, flourishing around 500 BC.
Right.
And the tremor of his ideas, it shook philosophy for centuries. You see it in Plato, in Hegel, even Nietzsche.
So our mission today is to pull back that curtain.
It is. We're going to focus on his life in Ephesus, this sort of renegade royal, and then get into his cosmic first principle, this idea of a divine fire or logos, and his doctrine of perpetual change.
And that's the stunning contradiction, isn't it? Right from the start. Here's a man who says the universe is governed by this eternal divine order, the logos.
A rational, structured principle.
Exactly. And yet he was notoriously critical, almost venomous toward the very people he lived among. We have to start there, with the man who rejected a crown just so he could lecture the masses.
We do. So let's set the scene. Ephesus. He was born there around, say, 544 to 541 BC. It's a major Ionian city-state, a real hub of trade and culture.
And we know these dates how?
It's based on his acme. That's the ancient Greek marker for physical and spiritual maturity, which they put around age 40. His fell during the 69th Olympiad.
Okay.
Even his name, Heraclitus, it means glory of Hera. It tells you he had a serious pedigree.
And that pedigree is key. He wasn't just some guy. He was part of the royal house of the Catrids. He was born into the absolute highest elite.
He was. But Ephesus at this time was going through some serious social upheaval. Democratization was on the rise.
And just when he could have stepped into power, Heraclitus takes this really surprising turn.
He voluntarily refused his inherited privileges. He refused the kingship and just passed the title to his brother.
Why? Was it just ego? Hubris?
The sources suggest it could have been hubris, sure. But it's more likely, given everything else he wrote, that it was a profound protest. A protest against the direction this new democracy was taking his city.
So he just withdrew from public life.
He didn't just withdraw, he actively scorned it. He was a natural, polis, Greek, deeply political, but he became totally disillusioned with people.
Right, there's that story about the tyrant Melancomes.
He reportedly advised him to resign, though the timing on that is a bit tricky. But there is absolutely no question about his incandescent anger when his fellow citizens exiled Hermodorus.
A man Heraclitus considered the most useful man in the city.
And that one event, it just set him off. He came out with one of the most scathing condemnations in ancient history. He said, and I'm quoting here, "All adult Ephesians should hang themselves and leave the city to adolescents."
Wow. He literally thought kids would run the city better.
He really did.
Yeah.
And he didn't stop there. He wished them this very specific kind of misfortune. Not poverty, but lasting wealth.
May wealth not desert you, Ephesians, so that it may be seen how wicked you are.
Exactly. He wanted their prosperity to stick around just to highlight their moral failure. So naturally, when they asked him to draft new laws, he just refused. Said the city was already under bad governance and was basically a lost cause.
It all connects back to that one anecdote where they find him playing, knucklebones?
Knucklebones or dice, yeah. Essentially a children's game. And when they act surprised, he just shoots back, "Why are you astonished, most corrupt ones? Is this not better than participating in state affairs among you?"
So for him, even a kid's game was more meaningful than petty human politics.
And that aristocratic disdain, you see, it informs everything. Not just his politics, but the very structure of his philosophy. If people can't grasp simple order, maybe what they need is a cosmic philosophy that just transcends them entirely.
Which brings us right to the core of it, fire and flux.
Precisely. For the earlier Ionian philosophers, the big goal was finding the arch, the fundamental stuff of the universe. Thales said water, and Anaximenes chose air.
And Heraclitus picks fire.
But this isn't, campfire fire. For him, this fire is also the logos, its soul, its reason, it's the divine ordering principle of everything.
Okay, let's unpack that. Fire equals logos. He's not just saying the universe is hot. Is it conscious? Or is it more like an ultimate physical law that governs the rate of change?
It's more like the latter. The logos is the hidden structure, the divine law that ensures balance even while everything is constantly changing. It's the wisdom guiding the process.
He wrote, "This cosmos, no one of gods nor men made, but it always was, is, and will be eternally living fire."
kindling in measures and extinguishing in measures.
That phrase, in measures, that's so important. It's not chaos, it's a governed cyclical system.
Absolutely. You called it the way up and the way down. Everything arises from fire through condensation. That's the way down, from fire to earth.
And everything returns to it through rarefaction, the way up, earth back to fire.
And this cycle is constant. It ensures a stable cosmic exchange. He even used a sort of economic metaphor for it.
Right, the one about gold.
Yes. He said, all exchanges for fire, and fire for all, as gold for goods and goods for gold. Think of fire as the ultimate currency of the universe.
So just like gold can be exchanged for anything but keeps its value, fire is the one constant that transforms into everything else and back again. It guarantees balance in the flow.
And that rational, fiery system is what underpins his most famous idea, Pantere.
Everything flows, continuous change.
The flux is undeniable. And the famous quote, of course, is, you cannot step twice into the same river.
But that's the part that seems like a contradiction. If everything is always flowing, where does the logos, that eternal structure, fit in? It sounds like pure chaos, not divine order.
And this is the genius of Heraclitus. He says the change isn't chaotic. It's driven by the unity and struggle of opposites.
Okay.
You see, we always focus on the water changing in the river. But Heraclitus also means the riverbank is changing. And you, the person stepping into it, you're changing too. Everything is in motion.
But the form of the river remains. The structure is still there.
Exactly. And that structure, that tension, is maintained by conflict.
He literally makes a god out of it. War is father of all and king of all.
Some it determined to be gods, others men. Some it made slaves, others free.
But isn't that just nihilism? Saying war is the creator of everything. How does that square with irrational divine law?
It's not nihilism, it's dialectics. He sees conflict not as destruction, but as a generative necessity. It's what creates things.
So when war decides who is a slave and who is free, it means your status is never fixed. It's always being determined by opposition.
Right. For him, opposition is creation. Think of a bow or a lyre. The very harmony of both instruments depends on that sustained dynamic tension between opposite forces, the wood pulling one way, the string pulling the other.
So war, or conflict, is what creates the perfect harmony in the system.
And he brings this cosmic idea right back down to civic life. He says people must fight for the trodden law as for the wall of the city.
Meaning there's a true logos-driven law that's worth defending, unlike the corrupt human laws he saw in Ephesus.
Exactly. Even the war of opposites is regulated by this one foundational logic.
And that tension between a universal law and constant violent change is probably what made him so hard to read, which gets us to his nicknames. The Dark One, Skotinos. Why do you think he got that name? Was he being intentionally obscure?
I think it's a mix of things. He loved paradoxes. We enter and do not enter the same river. That's a statement that just actively breaks common sense.
There's that famous quip from Socrates.
Right. After reading Heraclitus' work, Socrates supposedly said that what he understood was excellent, but for the rest, a Delian diver is needed. You had to plunge into the depths to get the meaning.
And Aristotle, the great systematizer, he was just irritated by it all.
Oh, he couldn't stand it. This blending of opposites was just chaos to a mind like his. Theophrastus even suggested it might have been due to melancholy.
But Cicero had a better take, I think.
A more charitable one, yeah.
Yeah.
Cicero argued Heraclitus was probably being unclear on purpose because he believed nature loves to hide.
So if the subject matter itself is dark and hidden, the writing style has to mirror that.
Precisely. And that tells you a lot about who he was writing for. Or, more accurately, who he was writing to exclude.
He targeted ignorance above all else.
Without a doubt. His chief vice to attack was intellectual laziness. The masses, he said, are passive. They believe deceptions. They chase money instead of perfecting the soul. He even said, ignorance is better hidden.
Which is such a burn on the common person. And he definitely preferred the wise few. I love that quote. One is 10,000 to me, if he is the best.
It's the ultimate aristocratic disdain. For him, wisdom was available to anyone, but only a tiny few actually chose to pursue it. If you weren't actively thinking, you were spiritually asleep.
Speaking of spiritual states, we have to talk about his most unusual analogy for wisdom, which ties right back to the cosmic fire, the idea of the dry soul.
This is the key to his ethics, really.
It's a fascinating idea. Souls start out with moisture, but to get wise, they have to actively dry out.
Correct. For him, a wet soul like a drunkard's is foolish and passive. It's just saturated by sensory input and, well, sloth. The goal is dryness.
So the dry soul is the best soul. It's the wisest, the most fiery.
It radiates light and heat. It shows its connection to the fire logos.
And the whole point of being human is to achieve that dryness by overcoming passivity and embracing that intellectual struggle.
Right. He believed unrest and dissatisfaction were good things. He even said, quite provocatively, that people would not be better off if all their wishes were fulfilled.
Life needs that tension, that conflict, just like the cosmos does. And this struggle is what decides your soul's fate after you die.
Which means if you live a wet life, a
Yes.
sensual, unreasonable life, you don't get to keep your individuality. Your psychic fire just turns to water or merges back into the cosmic fire, you're gone.
But the souls of the best, the wise and dry ones, they could hope for individual immortality, maybe even become guardians in Hades.
The quality of your struggle in life dictates your integrity after death.
Which brings us, in this bizarre, almost cruel philosophical joke, to the end of his own life.
It's an incredible story.
The philosopher who worshipped fire and dryness becomes a hermit, living on grass and roots.
And this diet leads him to develop dropsy, an illness caused by an excess of water in the body.
The ultimate crushing irony. He believed death for souls is to become water.
And he was literally dying from the philosophical opposite of wisdom.
So he goes back to the city, to the doctors he'd always scorned, and he asks them, true to form, if they can turn a rainstorm into a drought.
And of course, they have no idea what he's talking about.
So Heraclitus decides to cure himself, based on his own philosophy.
And this is the part you never forget. He tries to cure himself by burying himself in a cowshed manure pile.
Wait, what was the logic there?
The warmth and dryness of the manure, he hoped, would draw the pathological moisture out of his body.
And it didn't work.
It did not. He died shortly after, on age 60.
So the man who rejected a crown and worshipped the divine fire dies alone in a pile of cow dung because of too much water. That's almost a commentary on the limits of human reason.
It certainly makes for a lasting image. Now, before we finish, it's worth noting his main work on nature was comprehensive. It covered the universe, the state, and theology. He saw the logos connecting everything.
And his influence is just vast because he's the one who really created the philosophical problem of change. Parmenides comes along and says change is an illusion.
Right, that reality is static.
But Heraclitus's absolute doctrine of flux forced everyone after him to try and reconcile those two views.
Absolutely. His dialectics profoundly influenced Plato. Plato had to wrestle with constant change, and that struggle is what led him to propose the eternal, unchanging realm of the forms.
Heraclitus forces the question, if everything flows, how can we know anything for certain?
And of course, you see him in Hegel, whose whole dialectic system owes a huge debt to war's father of all, and in Nietzsche, who saw Heraclitus as this champion of life-affirming flux over static morals.
His ideas are still one of the absolute cornerstones of Western thought.
So here is a final provocative thought for you to take away. Heraclitus rejected power and comfort to pursue the wisdom of the Logos, the divine fire, which promised a dry, immortal soul. Yet he died alone, resorting to this bizarre, earthy cure for a disease of water.
Given his lifelong philosophical war against moisture, what does it mean that the philosopher who saw the universe as eternally living fire was ultimately undone by his opposite? Think about the internal struggle it takes every single day to keep your own soul, your focus, your critical thought dry and sharp in a world just saturated with easy answers. It suggests that even for the greatest minds, the war against ignorance and distraction, against that corrosive wetness, is never truly won, not until the very end. That's a deep dive for you to carry forward.
Join us and keep your curiosity well fed. Who knows? The next video might be exactly what you didn't know you needed.